another message from God, the creator of all things. This message reads, "Hello, my creation. This is God speaking again. Yes, the omniscient one, all knowing, having no beginning and no end, all loving. Well, you know all the qualities, right? In the beginning." Sounds like the opening words to a novel, doesn't it? Not really the way an all knowing God, creator of all things, would open up his or her to communicate to his or her creation, his or her progeny. So, how about we skip that part? For the purpose of my word, that is not important at this point. And really, if I, God, made you in my image, would I be writing you a mystery novel as my word, my communication to you? Would you refuse to explain to your children the important things about life to them? Would you lock yourselves in the outer room of your house and never show your face to your children? Hiding behind a cloud, so to speak, only sending out messages and telepathic commands. Let us reason here. Since you are made in my image, you created, gave life to your children. You promptly hide yourselves away, only having a select few to come in and see you, then send them out to write your words to hand out to your other children. Would you only allow, say, your favorite son to come into your presence and dictate to him your words to your other children, sometimes written in ambiguous words, leaving them to debate as to what you really meant? Or if you promoted yourself to be an all-knowing and all-loving and all those other wonderful descriptions given to me, would you have stories to share that indicated that you were capable of annihilating all of your children who pissed you off? Would you allow a neighbor's rebellious child to climb into a tree and convince your children to do something that you told them not to do? Or would you have two of your children speaking a different language than the others, making communicating between all of your children very difficult? Or would you seek to teach your children to get along, to treat each other well, to be kind and share? No, really. You would have commands sent out to some of your children to raid the bedrooms of their siblings, taking what they want, taking control and possession of their toys, and killing each other for the room and the resources in the room. No self-respecting God would do those things. No self-respecting God would leave room for his or her children to belittle their siblings because one came out with a lighter or darker skin color, or one went to medical school and the other was a janitor. So let me, your God, your creator, set the record straight in my word, my inspired word, this time written in English, not over a course of thousands of years, but in one short sitting. Well, I am God. Why would I have to have dozens of different men, strangely no women, write different segments of my word for my creation? Men who lived in different time periods and didn't even know or come in contact with each other, and men whose identities are unknown, no last names given, no proof of their existence. No, this word of mine will not go that route. This word of mine will be forthright and leave nothing to interpretation. See, I, your God, your creator, am no egomaniac. I am not narcissistic. I do not desire my creation to go around praising my name, holy or not, nor to bow down and constantly plead with me for salvation or to forgive them. I do not wish for temples, churches, mosques, or other types of buildings to be erected to me. I do not care one bit to see all those crosses cluttering my beautiful landscape that I gave you. No, none of that does me 1 ounce of good, nor do I find it attractive. Quite the opposite, I find it offensive to my godness. What God would want such? The waving of arms and singing of songs does nothing for me. I'm, after all, pretty much self-contained. So a first step in getting things straight down there would be to get your priorities right. Rid yourselves of all that waste. There is a much better use of your time and resources. All that is really only self-serving after all. None of it does anything towards what I, your God, your creator, commanded for you to do. Those things only create men and women who become filled with self righteous attitudes. It exalts one person over another, one group over another, and again, it's a total waste of resources that accomplishes nothing worthy of my name. In all the letters the God speaks found later in my word, the book being written, I've outlined in many ways the basic good that each of my creation can and should be doing, and none of it includes such a waste of land and the erecting of representations of death instruments towering into the skies and cluttering your roadways. I've never handpicked a prophet, howbeit Mohammed or Moses of Joel Osteen, nor did I give Joseph Smith a golden tablet that required a prism of glass to interpret into 16th century English as some version of my word. If you were to take all the resources, all the money and buildings dotting the landscape of my earth and utilize it all to say feed the hungry, care for the needy, house the homeless, well, you would have solved a lot and have a lot left over as well. It is quite insane that you cluster yourselves into windowless buildings and gaze at large screens with pictures and words projected on them when right outside, out in the open, free for all to enjoy, is my creation. All that you need to examine to really get close to me, to get to know me. I gave you the music you need to worship me with, the birds singing, crickets, all that abundance of life. Nope, not those buildings you erect, but in the building I, your God, erected. Is not my words good enough for you? Would you now agree that to serve me is best done by directing your attention to what I gave you, instead of rushing off to shelter yourself from my works as you plead out to me? I don't need your money. Money was your creation, not mine. I did not create your economic systems, nor did I draw lines of demarcation in the land, divvying up this part for one group and that part for another. Nope, that was you too. I did not create the mass distractions you have, the sports, the entertainment, the gadgets. You created all those things, and they all distract you from the very, very real world around you. All that you have allowed for yourselves has removed you so far from me and my will for you that you seldom, if ever, give reasonable thought to what should and could easily be done. So this sector views me in one light, calls me by one name, while this other sector views me in another light, calls me by another name, and you fight one another in fits of jealousy over who is right and who isn't. You seek to control my creation with your varied interpretations of me, and sadly, you are all wrong. None of you have it right. As you read holy books, flock to this church or that temple, and listen to the words of this man or that man, you miss me. You fail to see me as I stand right in your face, right outside, not in that sanctuary, but right outside in the open air. Nope, not at the football stadium or the concert hall. Yes, you've allowed for an overabundance of distractions to blind you from the reality of me and what life is all about. You have stuff and you spend the majority of your time seeking for more stuff, and you define success as the amount of stuff that you've accumulated. You build dwellings much larger than you need, fill them with things you don't need, while allowing others to live on the streets, and you claim to care. You feast on fine foods, tossing to the trash the unused, the uneaten portions, enough to feed all the hungry in the world, and you claim you care. Your creativity, combined with your self-imposed economic system, has you always desiring and demanding more and more, thereby enslaving yourselves while millions, if not billions of my creations suffer, hunger, and thirst. No, you are no longer a free people. You are enslaved by the things you possess. You profit from illness and thereby allow others to be denied health. And you do all this as your biological clocks tick, tick, tick down to your final breath, sucking in that final draw of life, giving air that you pollute with your never-ending building of stuff that you hoard and greedily refuse to share with all my creation, raping the planet of life-giving resources in order to accumulate more stuff that still rots and deteriorates just like your bodies do once that last breath has been exhaled. And you still don't see. You still are blinded by a system that you think is meant to be and that you think is a gift from me, your God, your creator. And you do this as you claim to care. Even in that other book that claims to be my word, there is much to be gleaned that could be considered a truth. Wise words. For instance, the well-known story of the Tower of Babel. Think about that one for a moment. I, your God, your creator, saw that what you, my creation, was capable of, the building of a high-rise building, and it disturbed me. Did you ever give consideration of why that may have disturbed me? Oh, yes, the story goes that I saw you had the capacity to accomplish whatever you wanted. Do you think that I, your God, would be lacking in knowledge of your capabilities, your capacities? It was not due to what you were capable of, it was what you chose to use those capabilities for. Instead of using those capabilities to aid one another, to care for the planet home I gave you, you chose to gather in massive groups and erect structures to the sky instead of cultivating the earth, instead of ensuring that all my creation was cared for equally and justly from the abundance that I freely gave you all. And then there's the story of Cain and Abel, that first conflict, that first murder told of in that book should have been a warning for you. The jealousy between my creation over one's form of worship over another's. Telling? Should be. So then, does this not lead you to understand? To understand that your focus is wrong, that your views are leading you to violence and divisions? Something that I, your God, your creator, that loving persona in the heavens would never want, would never promote, yet you persist. In that world you've created on my planet, you have come up with almost 5,000 different versions of me, some 5,000 different gods, and each believes theirs is the right one. And it is sad that out of all those gods, out of all those interpretations of me, of God, your creator, none are right. For the most part, they lead to jealousies, to divisions. Ah, but this is the way we must worship our creator. This is the style of music we must use to praise our creator. This is the ritual we must use to reach out to our God and become closer to him. And so many of you get this feeling. Think you hear my voice in your head. Believe that your actions are actions directed by my will. Really? So I, like a ventriloquist, direct my voice into your head telling you one thing, and at the same time, I'm planting my voice into the head of another telling them something different? Exactly what kind of God would that make me? Your energies directed toward building these massive buildings full of high-tech audio-visual gear where groups of you gather once or twice a week for an hour or two, and all the while not one sees me, not one understands what your God's will truly is. It isn't that difficult to get. It is not really that hard to understand. What would a God, a loving creator, expect of his or her creation after all? A constant praise, a constant repeating of creeds, a gathering together to sing songs and shout amen. Oh, how sad to make your God that you would identify me in such a fashion. Oh, how sad that you would actually believe that your all-knowing, all-loving creator desires such of you. The next sermon will be a continuation of this word, of what would the God, the creator of all, really be about. So I hope you come back and stay tuned, because this will continue. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening.